that moves us into our next segment, and I'm really excited about this one. Indonesia is one of Australia's closest neighbours, and they, whilst having a similar GDP to us, they've got 10 times more the population. So it speaks to a massive market. Next to Singapore, they're the most active venture investing country in Southeast Asia. And yet they don't seem to grab the Australian headlines as much as the likes of China, India, and even New Zealand. At K4ANZ, we share a strong view that we should all be taking notice to our neighbours over in Indonesia, and that's one of the main reasons why we decided to do this panel. So now I have the great pleasure of introducing our guests, and I'm going to start with Daniel Surya from WIR Global, AR and VR specialist, and an Indonesian startup extravaganza disruptor. So Daniel.
Hello. Hey, Jay. Nice to meet you all.
Hey, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Nice to see you.
Hey, Victor. Nice to see you.
So you just want to intro yourself and...
Yeah, sure. Thank you everyone for this opportunity. I'm Daniel Surya. I'm the co-founders of WIR Group, a leading Southeast Asia-based AR, VR, AI group of companies, and the co-founder of the Disrupto Indonesia movement of future technology. WIR Group has been established back in 2009. Well, we've been delivered more than thousands and thousands of projects around the globe. We have developed various B2B mostly. We started with B2B and B2C platforms, including the most recent one that I'm going to show you. I think you're going to witness the first beta version of augmented reality in using a video conference. In this case, will be Zoom. So I know it will be the first. I mean, this is still a beta testing. So it will be a lot of glitch maybe. But I know you might miss Indonesia from looking at our Komodo dragon, having a close encounter. Also, it could be, the Java rhino. So there's so many things that we could do moving forward with this. There's a quick demo just to get you an understanding of what we do actually. And as for Disrupto, it was built as a movement to encourage innovative thinking in Indonesia, accommodating disruptive ideas, and to gather all four pillars. So they are government, existing players, all the big companies, startups, and Indonesia young generation. So we have festivals since 2018, visited more than 10,000 people. And recently, due to COVID, we did an online festival with more than 360,000 audiences. So that's a quick introduction about myself.
Fantastic. So our next guest, amazing stuff. I wish I had one of those to bring out on a Zoom call every time I was speaking on a Zoom chat. Our next guest, Indra Pramana from Navanti.
Hi, Jai. Hi, everyone. Hi, Victor.
Hey, Indra.
Yep. So, a little bit about Navanti and myself. Currently, I'm doing it live from Jakarta, Indonesia, and we're doing just fine with the COVID situation. I think Indonesia handled it pretty interestingly. I mean, the direction and the activities that people are still doing here are excellent. Actually, it's really great for the economy. So Navanti itself, we've been running for more than 15 years. We're basically a multinational holdings company. We are not a tech-focused investment company, but we are starting out from the property market, and we branch out to many different industries, including manufacturing, chemical, creative industries. And just lately, we are diving ourselves into the tech startups and also incubators and in co-working space as well. We've got our investment around the Southeast Asia market. We've got a couple of investment in Vietnam, Singapore, obviously a lot in Australia, mainly Melbourne. And in the last couple of probably 7-8 years, we've down to Indonesia now. And I'm the one who's responsible for the investment opportunity in Indonesia and also the portfolios of the management and also investment relation with the couple of mostly of the investors in Indonesia too. So that's basically what I do and what Navanti is all about. And at the moment, it's been very interesting just because we've sort of have couple of the branches here and there, and we see the opportunity of connecting Australia with the Southeast Asia through Indonesia, because we see that Indonesia has become the doorstep to the Southeast Asia market. As we all know that Indonesia have one of the greatest population number. And so I see that Indonesia and Australia has become a very good neighbor, and why don't we, create some opportunities out of the both countries? So at the moment, Navante has been the bridge and also the doorstep for the Australian business and also the Indonesian business, with the help and the support from both of the government. So we're helping the G2G relationship to the private sectors. That's probably
Fantastic.
about it, yeah.
Fantastic. Vanya from Merah Putih.
Sure, yes. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Vanya.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me here. I think my introduction is just going to be plain vanilla because I don't have any AR Komodo gimmick with me like
That's
Daniel.
okay.
But yeah, so yeah, thanks for having me here, guys. I'm Vanya from Merah Putih Inc., part of GDP Venture. I think I'm just going to start with explaining a little bit about GDP Venture as our parent group, and then I'll move on to its relationship with Merah Putih Inc. So GDP Venture is, we consider ourselves as a strategic investor and a venture builder. So we do both build our own company and invest in existing startups. Our goal is to create a sustainable ecosystem for the creative and digital technology in Indonesia, because we strongly believe that this industry is going to be one of the main contributors of Indonesia economy, if not already in the future. And GDP Venture has, well, we consider ourselves as a family office because we manage our own funds, and we're balance sheet investors, founder first investors, and we have a couple of investment vehicles, including Merah Putih Inc. So that's kind of the relationship to Merah Putih Inc. It started out in 2010 as an incubator, but then we quickly realized that we were too early to the ecosystem, because there was nobody, no startups, no venture, no VCs back in 2010. Only a very few, maybe East Venture was there, but so thus we decided to switch our model to completely just strategic investing. We no longer incubate, but we try to look for startups in 3 verticals that we are quite interested in, although we don't limit ourselves to just these 3 verticals, which are commerce, media and entertainment, and solutions. I think that's a little bit about us.
That's great. Thank you, Vanya. And no stranger to Keiretsu Forum is the chapter president of Keiretsu Forum Indonesia, Freddie Weller. Freddie.
Hi, Freddie.
You just muted there, Freddie. I'll just prompt you to unmute.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hi, Victor. Hi, Jane. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, so just a little bit background of myself. I've been the president for Keiretsu Forum Jakarta for about 5 years now, and then yeah, is it clear? Because it's breaking. Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit breaking up. Yeah. Okay. So what I do is two part. I'm trying to balance the two. One is both of them are dealing with the technology, but one is from the virtual side, software, and then a virtual part, and then the other one is the dealing with the real asset, which is right now we follow closely about EV, electric vehicle, and that is dealing with what we have in Indonesia, which is nickel. So I try to combine these two, and then try to encourage everybody to look into it. So yeah, that's my brief introduction.
Great. Thank you, Freddie. And so I'm going to start the panel with a really important question. And you know, I think there's the panelists have really talked about what their focuses are. But I'm really interested in you know, what are the key focuses in Indonesia? You know, where are the hot areas? You know, where should we as people from outside of Indonesia be looking at as the areas that are exciting? So maybe if I'm going to probably just run through the panel. So Freddie, while I have you, you know, I mean, you've sort of mentioned those are your focus areas, but are there areas outside that are really hot in Indonesia that you think we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think so. I follow the trend. One of them is in education, and then I believe fintech is getting very hot right now, and then the latest one is logistic. But
Okay.
what I can say is this space, many people, I mean, many of the high net worth that I'm dealing with, they really want to go into this space to solidify their existing business. So they're very particular, but they're willing to invest some money into the spaces that relate to their business.
Great, thank you. And Indra, what's your take on this?
I think anything in Indonesia is hot at the moment. It just really depends on how much you've got. But in all seriousness, what's been really interesting is, yes, I agree with Freddie that education, logistic, people are pumping their money at the moment because especially with COVID as well, the e-commerce are growing really significantly. Education system can run away with the online webinar on Zoom or whatever it is. And so many of the startups trying to give their best solution to it. And the e-commerce platform players are becoming more significant in the lifestyle of the people in Indonesia. And I think what really interesting for me, before I speak about the industry, it's more to what really contributes to the GDP of the Indonesia itself, you know, because I see a quite interesting trend in the investment, in the strategic investment, where you have to be able to monetize in the industry that is contributing the most to the GDP of Indonesia. And there are a lot of what's interesting about Indonesia, there are a lot of brick and mortars, mom and pops business kind of thing, and it accumulates to a whole lot of a significant amount of money that is happening every single day. And our job is to be able to identify and to be very clear to be able to find that fine line of how should we be able to, if we're talking about the tech startup, how should we be able to digitalize all those process, and then we take some monetization from there, right? Whether that's on the small shops, we call it as warung, or whether that's digitalizing the payment system that they've got, or the transaction that they are doing with the customer, or even the logistics, or even the storage house, you know, coming down to this era. I've been getting a lot of inquiries about cloud kitchen. We know all the two giants are coming down, Sequoia and also SoftBank, in investing cloud kitchen in Indonesia. So again, the same principle. They're just looking at the food business at the most. It's the #1 entertainment for people during COVID at the moment, you know.
Yeah.
And so how we are able to monetize that? There's a cloud kitchen. People are unable to dine in. They're just sitting at home, but they need entertainment. They're bored with their own food, right? So you're talking about food. You just have to find what's really contributing to the most of the people at the moment. You're talking about the logistic, the e-commerce. So food #1 as always, the logistic as always, and education. And I think that's, and also if you're talking about food, the agriculture itself. There's a lot of things that I'd like to share later on, probably on those 4 topics.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, well, so one thing we do well in Australia is ag tech, so there's plenty of opportunity for working there.
Correct.
Daniel, I'd be interested in your views. You know, you've obviously, you know, your disruptor is really on the coalface of what's hot and what's happening over there, and you've got quite a big sample size to choose from with all of your, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of community.
Thanks, Jay. I think this is disruptive for the first time, where we managed to gather all the 4 pillars together in one place, right? I mean, since 2018, sit together, inspire one another, and opening up a new horizon and collaborations, especially taking what comes next into account. So there have been gaps before, based on my experience between these four pillars, that kind of never met each other, even though they are in the same kind of a purpose and vision. So I always believe it is always good not to stand alone. So now collaboration are established, strategic partnership are formed, and now startups have been embarking a new journey with all the four pillars. So focusing more on real fundamentals, relevant solutions, very targeted, and more, I guess, more sustainable in that sense.
Great, thank you. And then moving over to Vanya, obviously you guys have a really, you've got a lens that you look at companies and where your focuses are. Maybe within those, where are you seeing the biggest opportunities within Indonesia at the moment?
Right. So thanks, Jay. So based on Daily Social's report on Q2 2020, there were 32 startups that got funded, and from those startups, there are three vertical highlights, which are SME enablers. So everything that help small businesses, because Indonesia is very big in SMEs, what we call as warung, a very traditional mom and pops businesses. They help anything within the startup industry that helps them to digitalize their processes, their logistics. It's very big. And then logistics, like everyone else have been saying as well. And then the third one is entertainment. And I can vouch for entertainment because we spoke with one of our portfolios, Agate Gaming Studio in Bandung. They noticed an increase in revenue in in-app purchases, in-game purchases, because they have a mobile app game, and then they noticed that people start paying money. And I guess it's just because of they have spare money because they're not going anywhere in this pandemic. They don't spend it in like clothes or any tertiary needs. So but they still want to be entertained. So that's why they run to mobile games. So that's why entertainment has a very bright future. And then again, someone informed me the other day that one of the music platform in Indonesia, they increased their total Indonesian subscribers from 11% to 23%. It's still a small number, but then it's almost a little bit over twice of the previous number. And I guess people are just starting to appreciate paying for content, paying for entertainment. GoPlay is pushing their content. GoPlay is pushing their media and entertainment. So I guess that's kind of where we see the bright future is.
Right, and I guess while I have you, why is Merah Putih and GDP specifically focused on those areas? I mean, is it linked to the the underlying skill set that their sort of general partner group has, or what's the kind of reason and rationale behind that focus?
Right, I think it's back to the preferences and interests of the investment committee. But then again, we look at we're founder first investor, so we found founder very important, to determine whether we should or not we invest in a startup or not. So if we have a good chemistry with the founder, then it's a plus point already, because we see our founders as as our partners to build the company to the right size at the right pace. So I guess that's an important factor as well. And then looking at the verticals, I think because our main goal, our mission is to create a sustainable ecosystem, I think it will be a plus point if everyone within our portfolio could sync up, could synergize, create something together. We're not pushing them, we're not forcing them to work together. And I'll be naive if I say it's easy to make anyone to work together. But like from our media portfolio, for example, our other portfolio could benefit from the reach, the engagement, the PR from our media portfolio. So that's kind of the synchronization, or the synergy that we hope for ideally towards our portfolio.
Great. And just thinking more about on the globalization scale and Indonesia, there's obviously a number of your portfolio companies that don't need to go offshore because they've got such a massive massive population and a massive, potential customer base domestically in Indonesia. But are there any companies in your portfolio that you think have the biggest potential to go global?
I think that's like asking who's your favorite child.
Yeah, I didn't want to say the word favorite because I know investment managers don't want to have a favorite.
It's fine. Yeah, I think we see different potential for different verticals and different portfolios. And Indonesia is a very huge market, like you already mentioned. When you hear 270 million population, it's really huge, although it's spread across 17,000 islands. So I guess for foreign investors or foreign companies who would like to tap into our market, they have to have that at the back of their mind that they're not tapping into 270 million people at the same time. Maybe they're tapping into Jakarta market, and then it's going to be different. The user behavior and the consumer is just going to be different with Surabaya or other cities, other big cities in Indonesia. And with that being said, I think it opens up opportunities to all of our portfolios. But if you, for a short answer or direct answer, I think we really double down on our entertainment portfolios and our solutions, because we believe that amid and post this pandemic, if there startups who are going to strive are those who could provide new ways of doing, school work, new ways to do school, new ways to do work, new ways to shop, to for a healthy living, for a lifestyle. So I guess that's where we're heading to.
Great, thank you. Actually, keen, Vanya mentioned about that there wasn't many VCs around in 2010, and so I'm keen to hear from Daniel on a bit more of the evolution of I guess the community or the startup scene over in Indonesia. Since you started Disrupto and since the earlier days, what have been the key developments and milestones that you've seen with the scene in Indonesia?
Well, I guess it's been major changes right now. I mean, there are more startups coming in to really looking at supporting Indonesia. I'm saying that there are more species coming in to really support the startup ecosystem in Indonesia these days. There are more. I think the situation right now has been really progressive in terms of well, back 10 years ago, it's only like few VCs on board. Now, I think there are plenty of VC arm investing in Indonesia ecosystem, especially when we look at Disrupto for the past 3 years. As I mentioned earlier, government now plays also important role in connecting and integrating startups and businesses, and also putting up a new kind of regulations to really encourage startups and both startup and VC to connect more. I just see that there are so many progresses and good things that are happening right now.
Right. And maybe just to flip things a little bit is as an Indonesian entrepreneur, you've obviously, you're obviously running a global company in WIR, and and achieved a number of successful capital raises from local and global global groups. What were some of the successful things that you did in order to attract capital both from Indonesia and abroad?
Yeah, I think WR has been established for nearly 11 years, right? I and my partner have been going up and down, so for so many years, especially during the first years of our establishment. So the key learning point is to always have a clear objective, especially when at the early days, I started to talk with investors with clear objective, with a passion to grow, and clearly not only visionary that we need to brought on place, but we need to really learn the fundamental of financials, right? And really being able to show that not only vision, but fundamental and scalability are the key growth of our business. Not only locally, but also being able to tap in global market. The fact is the funny part that WR has started mostly initially at international audiences. So really, people don't know who we were back then in Indonesia. I hope now it's changed a bit. And really, to how you can add value, more values to your investors. That's part of our strategies moving forward, and how we tackle basically on to grow our partnership with our investors.
So yeah, some good advice there. Indra, Navanti has relationships with high net worth investors in Indonesia and within Indonesian high net worth investors based in Australia. How do they differ in terms of what they're interested in and what they're investing in?
Okay, so yes, the main difference is actually just the condition of the country where they're at, and whether they are following up with the latest trend or not. And also it depends on, because we focus on different things, Navanti in Australia and also Navanti in Indonesia, because we know that we can't give them the same kind of menu on the table, because we are living on two different countries. But mainly the first thing is, those high net worth individuals, usually they are, I would say that they are relying mostly on our expertise and our own knowledge. So it really depends on how we give it out to them and what we are serving. And basically the trust is the main thing if you're dealing with the high net worth individuals, because the main issue for them is they don't have whether they don't have or they don't want to have the groundwork, the groundwork in understanding the whole ecosystem and the whole scope of the investment in both of the countries. But what's been really interesting is, in most of the cases, because we have our presence in both of the countries, they always like to participate in both too, So whether it's in Indonesia or it's in Australia, we always dealing with a cross investment in across all our portfolios. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, great. And so where have you seen the biggest successes with in Australian investments by Indonesian or Indo-Australian high net worth?
Okay, mainly with the Australian high net worth individuals, they are more to be honest, they're more resistant in investing in the tech startups, just because,
Yep.
as we all know, that in Australia we have to be very selective and we have to be smart about doing tech startups in there, because not everything that we see in US or in the Asia we could bring it to Australia, just because of one of them is the market size, and also the digitalization states of Australia has gone really rapidly compared to the countries like Indonesia at the moment, So the resistance is there if they are about to invest in tech startups. So mainly what they're interested in is whether that's more into brick and mortar business, but they want a sense of technology inside the brick and mortar business just to scale it up better and faster. We're talking about let's say we're talking about the property market, we're talking about the logistic. They want the core business to be the brick and mortar business, but then they want that touch of the technology inside it to make it more scalable in the long term investment. So that's mainly what's been happening in the Australian high individual network investors, and they mainly focusing on the long term game compared to the investors in Indonesia. I would like to probably give an idea that our investors in Australia are looking for a timeline more than at least 4 to 5 years onwards. But the one in here, they like the fast pace and the quick money in and out kind of thing.
Yep, great. And Freddie, we've obviously, you've got pretty close eyes on Indonesian high net worth and what they're focusing on. Is it just purely onshore, or they have you had experience with them investing offshore as well?
I would say mostly onshore, but if they are really thinking to invest offshore, there are some backgrounds. Usually, whether it's part of their corporate strategy. And then usually they also have their kids going to school, let's say in Australia or in Singapore or in the US. So they feel more comfortable having exposed to these countries' situation, politics. And then next, which is very important also, I feel and I sense that there are more and more people in Indonesia also, this high net worth is really looking at global investment because of political risks in Indonesia. It happens like almost every election. So it makes them kind of wary about it. So I, right now I'm in Indonesia, and right now a lot of Indonesians are staying here for a longer period of time. They don't want to go back until it settles down. And they here what they do is just riding bike like almost every day. They sit down in cafes sipping coffees or whatever. And of course, they're really looking to invest into something beyond Indonesia, starting from what they have in Indonesia.
Yep. Yeah, that's really interesting. It actually looks like you're in San Francisco there, Freddie, but you got the full. Have you seen any changes in maybe investor attitudes over the last few years in terms of offshore versus onshore? I mean, is it there more appetite for onshore? Or is it more just about in an election year, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, from my circle, I can see that they're more open toward investing offshore now, because of course Indonesia still offer a lot of opportunities, but I think they can see offshore opportunities are also available to them, and they feel more confident that they can compete in Vietnam or in other countries. So I think there is more openness to this, and they're looking at these opportunities also.
Great, that's great. Great for us down here in Australia.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got a question from the audience actually now. So Ricky, please excuse me for the surname, Baheramshah. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly, but Ricky, would you like to ask your question to the panel?
Thank you. Sorry, not sure if you can hear me, but you pronounced my last name very well, so thank you for that.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks.
No, I was just curious from a different perspective. I know there was a lot of talk about how the current market is shaping due to the COVID-19 situation, of people staying at home, enjoying sort of like entertainment products from home. And as the panelists highlighted, there is a bit of a boom happening right now. I was just curious what the panel would think after the COVID-19 situation. Do you think the market will remain with these types of products, entertainment at home, or do you think they will just rush out and try to find the sort of like lifestyle products that you're used to maybe in the outside? I was just curious on that part. Thank you.
Yeah, panelists, feel free to jump in. Maybe Vania? Do you want to answer
that? Sure. Definitely indoor entertainment. We're looking at, and when you say indoor, I guess I can also support some data, and I have information from our gaming and more like into the kind of entertainment from the gaming perspective, mobile apps, and we also have media portfolio, I guess, from their insights. Even amid COVID, even right now during the pandemic, they're looking at an increased traffic for a video platform for our portfolio that plays in the video verticals. We also invested in a movie studio called Visinema. They're the movie production studio that produce, I don't know if you're familiar with any Indonesian movie, but I think the Indonesians here, I hope they heard of Filosofi Kopi, Keluarga Cemara, so box office movies. They turn, because cinemas are closed down, right? We can't go to the cinema. So what they did was they create an online cinema. pay-per-view, pay-per-content. And I think if that could be included in indoor entertainment from my perspective, from my point of view, they're looking at increased demand. They're looking at increased traffic. So short answer, yes.